Good morning, everyone. We are starting now. Welcome, everyone. I'm sure I've greeted everyone. Welcome to our episode 6 of the ESH eLounge webinar series. So, Tish, are you there? Our Safety Star guest for today is just setting up, but maybe I'll start with an introduction. So our Safety Star guest for today is Dr. Nyenda, and is going to be presenting on the topic, driving force for managing psychosocial risks. So just a brief background, a brief profile on who Dr. Nyenda is. So Dr. Nyenda is the Southern and Central African region representative for ISO Technical Committee, and is also the Zimbabwe rep to ISO Technical Committee 283. He is also the chairperson to the National Media Committee to ISO Technical Committee 283. He has a PhD and is specialized in mine restoration ecology. He also has a master's in safety, health, and environmental management. He has another master's in tropical resources ecology, specializing in mine tailing rehabilitation. He has a BSc in environmental science, and he also has an executive certificate in workplace safety and health management. He has a NEBOSH certificate in hazardous substances and equipment management. He is also a lead auditor for ISO 45001 and EMS. He is also a trainer in management systems. That's Dr. Nyenda. He's going to be our presenter for today. Dr. Nyenda, can you hear me? Okay, I think he's just setting up for now. Okay, thanks. How are you, Dr. Nyenda? I'm all right. Thank you very much for agreeing to present on our platform. Looking forward to a great session with you. Okay, so our topic for today is driving force for managing psychosocial risks at the workplace. And we're going to be focusing on ISO 45003, the new standard for managing psychosocial risks at the workplace. So first, we are going to have a toolbox talk from Teach on workplace violence. But before we go on to that, I would like to acknowledge our sponsors, Tier 1 Center for Learning, NASA, and Zimbabwe Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, ZIOSH. Before we get into the toolbox talk, just a few ground rules. So we are a group who are participating, but if you're not speaking, please make sure that you mute your mic. And if you want to make a contribution, you can just raise your hand and you'll be given an opportunity to make a contribution. Then for video, you can also turn on your video if you want. It's optional. Then we are making use of the chats during the session. And we're also going to have poll questions during the session or towards the end of the session. You can respond to those. The responses are anonymous. So we are going to go into today's work, starting with the toolbox talk on workplace violence. Teach, are you there?
Yes, I am. Let me quickly share my screen, then I will start.
Okay, whilst Teach is sharing his screen, As we all know, May is the Mental Health Awareness Month. So our regular participants may be wondering why we decided to choose psychosocial risks topics for the month of May. It's because it's the May is the month of mental health awareness. So we've decided to do something that is engaging, have a discussion around that on how best we can improve psychosocial risks at the workplace. So for those of you who did not manage to attend the last session, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook so that you get the last session. So looks like Teach is ready. You can go ahead.
Okay, how are you everyone? Welcome to our webinar session. So in our Toolbox Talk today, we're going to be discussing about workplace violence. So there is a misconception that workplace violence is physical assault, but to define it really, workplace violence is something that is intimidating or embarrassing or anything that violates your rights or your as an employee. So workplace violence, to categorize it, it is threatening behavior, or we can talk about verbal or written threats. I guess everyone today is aware of cyberbullying. If someone is sending you those text messages or threatening you, that's a form of workplace violence, especially if it's a work colleague. And also verbal abuse can be used to define workplace violence. Then we talk about physical attacks, the ones we are aware of, and even harassment. That's where sexual harassment comes in and all those kind of things. So what are the risk factors that are associated with workplace violence? Work factors can lead to workplace violence. This is when we are talking about your work processes, who you are engaging. For instance, those people who work with the public, they are likely to experience workplace violence, or the processes of your work. If you are handling money or handling valuable assets, there's a possibility that you encounter violence. Then another risk factor is time. That's why we are talking about working during the night or late hours where everyone is not at the workplace. For example, security guards or those who work at night shifts, they are likely to encounter workplace violence during those hours. Even during paid days, it's another risk factor for workplace violence. When people are not getting their pay on the date they were said to get it, people get to exhibit some timber when you are interacting with them. Then another risk factor is geological location. With geological location, we are talking about isolated places, or if your workplace is located near places like bars or those kind of things, you are likely to encounter workplace violence. So the most likely occupational groups that are at risk are security. We have social service employees, those ones that interact with the public. We have retail employees. We have sellers, even the loan workers we talked about in our previous sessions. Those are high likely to encounter workplace violence. So how do you assess, or how do you inspect that my workplace is at risk? First, you conduct an inspection of the workplace. You look at the internal factors, that is the culture of the company, the activities that are there. I've mentioned that if you are mainly handling money or valuable assets, it's a risk factor for workplace violence. You also look at the organizational structure. It's another aspect that you can assess that can promote workplace violence. And you can look at the external factors, the location, the one I defined as a risk factor, that if your location is isolated, you are likely to encounter workplace violence. You look at the clients that you work with, the customers, or even the family can come and insult you at the workplace. That's workplace violence also. Then you also need to review the incidents that have happened in the past. That you can do that by interviewing your colleague or your employees if they have experienced any workplace violence of any form. Or you can look for incident reports of on workplace violence, and then you can look at does the company have any measures that protect workers from psychological health and safety at the workplace. So then to prevent workplace violence, the most important thing is management commitment, of which management commitment is best communicated through a policy. So there's need for a policy that addresses workplace violence. That is the first step to prevent workplace violence. And that policy should apply to the management, the employees and contractors, or any third party that is associated with your company or your workplace. Then that policy also, during the policy making process, it should be made by everyone, including the employees, representatives, the management, the safety officers, the human resources department. And also in the policy, there should be precise definitions of what is workplace violence, so that when someone commits or is found to be at fault with workplace violence, they will reference this policy and say, we had defined what you did. And also you should include examples of what you mean about workplace violence. And it should be accompanied by the code of conduct from the human resource department, so that whenever someone is reported to have committed workplace violence, they will be charged for what they would have done, referencing the code of conduct. And another preventative measure is to encourage reporting of all incidents, no matter how small an incident is. It should be reported to the SHE department or the HR department, so that these issues can be addressed before they escalate into anything else. And also there should be an employee assistance program that assists employees on reporting these kind of incidents confidentially, so that as a way of promoting this incident reporting. And also you should conduct management programs. As managers, you should promote preventing workplace violence. And also there's need to train and educate your employees on this code of conduct, these policies I've been mentioning, and all other sort of requirements and legislations that address workplace violence. That's when you state the applicable regulatory requirements. And most of these are, the requirements are the Labor Act, they mention about workplace violence. There's a statutory instrument 1 to also mention about workplace violence. So with that, I would like to thank you. I guess everyone has been a victim of workplace violence. So if there is anyone who would like to share their experience and how they've handled it, or what they think can be done to prevent workplace violence, because this is one of the things that is causing mental illness at our workplaces. When as an employee, you are a girl, child, and your boss is hitting on you, that's something that is that we can define as workplace violence. So I'm giving this time to the floor. If anyone can share what they have experienced or what they think can be done to prevent workplace violence. Thank you. Anyone, guys, with a contribution or addition or subtraction on the subject? Okay. Yes, Ms. Kwaram.
Workplace violence, it can affect and involve employees, clients, customers, and also visitors. That's one other contribution I'd like to make.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kwaramba. Thank you for that contribution. Thank you. Is there anyone else with another contribution or addition on these subjects? Okay, that brings the end of our Toolbox Talk today. Thank you. Giving this opportunity back to Tonde. Tonde, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Teach, for that. I'm sure the discussion can continue in the chat room because I'm sure everyone has a lot to say about workplace violence and what can be done to make sure that cases of workplace violence are reduced at our workplaces.